Hello, it's Football Psyche, and this is Coach Mad Mike.
Sarge!
All right, guys. Well, we're getting into a brand new series this week that we'll go over for the next 8 weeks. Where we'll be predicting the NFL divisions and their standings. So 8 weeks, we're going to be doing this, large Sarge, and we are going to be starting off with a breakdown of the AFC North.
So, 3 questions we're going to answer for you in this session. With the free agency moves and the draft selections, how will the AFC North team standings change this year in 2024? Number 2, what are the biggest questions surrounding every team in the AFC North? And number 3, what are we most excited to see from each team? And I think if we answer those questions over the next 8 weeks for each division, I think everyone out there is going to get a good understanding about how things stack up this year. Don't you think, Coach Mad Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Well, listen, before we get kicked off here, I need to tell you something, Coach Mad Mike. I have been backdooring the Lions are my team, and I've been secretly needling in the back door there, and I got Coach Campbell to agree to something with me.
You've been conversating with Coach Campbell, huh?
It's not official, okay? It's not official. Nothing I'm doing is official, all right? But Coach Campbell, he's a player. He's a madman. He's a beast. He realizes that he made some mistakes last year in terms of always going forward on fourth down, not trusting the kicker. So since I spent a lot of time in Europe, he's allowed me to send him some particular prospects. So I actually have one of those prospects here that I've been working with. He's going up there for UFAs for the Lions. So I want to grab him. Sven, are you ready? I think he's ready. So let me.
Oh, great. We got
get
another
him.
guest on here. All right, I'm ready for this one.
All right, let me go get him. All right, I'll be right back.
Oh, wow. So, all right. So, Coach is out there getting ready to bring on a special guest now. I'm really looking forward to this. I have no idea who it's going to be. So, this is going to be a shocker for me. So, but anyway, so the 3 questions we have that we were telling you guys that we are going to be going over breakdown of analysis of the AFC North, and I'm so looking forward to this. I'm telling you, this is going to be a very tough division, and I'm looking forward to what are these teams going to do, because it's so tight last year with 3 out of the 4 teams actually making it to the playoffs. And this year, I think it's going to be a tight race. Oh, wait a minute. Who do we have here?
Sitting down. Hello.
What is your name? And where are you from? And what position do you play?
Oh, hello, Coach Mike. My name is Sven Verdegarden, and I'm from Norway. It's coming down to how are you doing today? It's good to be here in America.
Oh, my goodness. So you had a picture you wanted me to show here.
Oh, you have a pic? Large Sarge, you give it. Yes, please, put up. I explain to me a little bit.
I'm going to put up this picture. Let's see what we got here.
And I play football for the Norway local team. And you can see from my photo that I'm kind of a small guy, but I have a very big leg.
What is up with that leg? Oh, my God.
Well, my specialty is to kick the ball further than anybody else in the world.
And so how far can you kick?
Well, my furthest kick so far is 85 yards.
85 yards?
But as you can tell, I have one big leg, and the rest of my body is kind of small, so I can kick the ball far, but it's not so accurate, because when I'm coming to the ball, it's kind of like, and my accuracy, as you could say, is not so good. So,
oh my gosh.
So, Coach Mike, this is what I'm doing, is working on the accuracy. And then Campbell said that I should be kicking a basketball. If I can kick the basketball through the little yellow thing is, then I'm okay. Right now, I can very accurate to 17 yards.
So what technique are you able to do?
Well, from when I was a little tiny little boy in Norway, I'm doing a leg press on my right leg every day, 10,000. You know how some people wear the support to watch?
Yeah.
They count the steps. Well, I wear a support to watch and count the leg press. Guess what I do? 10,000 leg press every day.
10,000 leg presses a day.
That's right. The strongest leg in the Norway.
So how do you think you're going to be able to help our team this year?
Well, if I can get control of my accuracy using the basketball,
then the smaller football is going to go further and be more straight. And I think I can help the Lions win this game and give Dan Campbell the confidence to use the kicker.
Yeah, you think he's going to use the kicker now?
I have a good kicker.
Yeah, you might make it to the Super Bowl if he learns how to use the kicker. You think that basketball is going to help you, huh?
Well, Dan Campbell says if I can kick the basketball 70 yards into the yellow little thingy then I'm going to get to play on the Lions. This is my favorite team.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us here today. We wish you all the best of luck and a great football season.
Well, thank you, and wish me good luck to become the kicker for the Lions with the Dan Campbell couldn't trust.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. So, we're getting Large Sarge back over here. We're going to go over the NFL schedule here right now. So right now, teams are in the rookie mini camps, and teams can stage rookie camps between now through the 13th. And I'm going to pull up that schedule here in a little bit. And so the teams can also start OTAs in the May-June timeframe. So here's a good look of what the NFL rookie minicamp schedule looks like. So right now, the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles have already started, and this is actually the last day of the rookie minicamp, whereas the other teams that you see there underneath that, they are actually dead center in the middle of it. The Kansas City Chiefs also start today. Most of the team actually starts, though, this coming week, and you'll see rookie minicamp schedule there. I always find this part actually interesting for a lot of players because a lot of these players are still in college trying to get ready for final exams, and they're having to go for a couple of day minicamp. So it's a break, but I think it's also something where it puts a little bit of stress on them a little bit. But what do you think about that, Large Sarge? Having rookie mini camps for some of these candidates before they've actually graduated from college?
I think it's a fantastic idea because, the scouting teams get to watch all of the tape on these guys. Some have a lot of tape, some don't. You make your draft selections, and then they get here to the NFL, and you need to really watch them work within your team and your team format, both offense and defense. So I think this is a really good way to get a jump start for the teams in relation to how their new draftees work out.
I want to start off here by talking about the AFC North, and what we're going to do it with this, and this is going to go throughout the entire series over the next 8 weeks, is we're going to go through a team breakdown where we're going to talk about the marquee additions and subtractions. Now that we're behind the draft and we see what they drafted, we're going to look at their biggest holes and how we think that this team's going to do this particular year. So I'm going to start off with the Cincinnati Bengals because for me, Cincinnati Bengals has been a very interesting football team to kind of watch. They made a few key additions this year. One is bringing in Zach Moss because they allowed Joe Mixon to hit free agency, and he went off to Houston. So they had to scramble, like most of the teams around the NFL, to go and get a running back so they weren't left without one. Kind of like the Dallas Cowboys when that happened, right?
And Joe Burrow is your favorite quarterback anyway.
Joe Burrow is by far my favorite quarterback, right? So, but, for me, when it comes to this team, to me, the biggest question, what you see on the bottom right is this guy healthy? If he's healthy, these guys are going to get on fire. If he's not healthy, this team's going to struggle. And to me, yeah, he's my favorite quarterback in the NFL. And when he's on, like he's really on, and he's hard to stop.
Coach Mike, who does he have to throw to? Who's his marquee receiver?
Right. So he has T. Higgins as wide receiver out there.
That's right. Higgins. Yeah,
on the right side. He also has Lamar Chase. And so I think those are the two key guys that he has. He also has Trent Irwin. Yeah.
Jason Higgins. He's got a 1 and a 2 for sure.
Yeah, he's got a 1 and a 2 for sure. And he's got Trent Irwin in there. And so when I go back and I look at this, what you also see as a 3rd round draft pick is Jermaine Burton from Alabama. Right. So he's going to be in the mix somehow. He might compete for a slot position or be that number 4 guy, but they have targets.
Right.
And then with Zach Moss replacing Joe Mixon, I think we're pretty good there. I was a little concerned about them losing DJ Reader to the Lions, which I think is huge for the Lions. But they were able to go out and get Sheldon Rankin from Houston. So I think they've got that covered. They also picked up Geno Stone from the Ravens, which I think is a great pickup. And to me, when they were going into the draft, their biggest need was right tackle. And they addressed that when they had that offensive tackle run. You remember that because we were at the draft.
Yep.
Right? They were having those huge offensive tackle runs. They picked up Amarius Mims, who is a extremely good right tackle. So I think that they've met their needs. Not only that, but even if he's not really ready to go, I think they did it right because they still have Trent Brown at right tackle as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this team is not hurting when it comes to people. So I really like their chances. I think that they look solid. And I mentioned Sheldon Rankins, but they also in the second round got Chris Jenkins as a defensive tackle out of Michigan. So they addressed their needs pretty well there, Large Sarge.
Well, thinking about it, last year when Burrow went down, it was Mixon that kept him in the games, right? They had a running game. What do you think about losing Mixon and getting Zach Moss? Do you think the running game took a hit there?
I think I know Joe Mixon is a big name. I think Zach Moss is more of an up-and-coming running back, so it might be a wash. And the thing about Zach Moss is he was cheaper. If you were going to re-sign Joe Mixon, he was going to cost a lot. So I think that they kind of assessed it and analyzed and said, you know what, we can afford to let him go.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think, me personally, I think for the Bengals, I think they killed the running game, which means Burrow's going to have to be even more on point this year, even though he's got targets. Just my opinion.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to watch, right?
Yeah. They finished bottom of the division last year. I expect them to do the same this year. If Burrow's healthy, maybe not, right? Losing Burrow last year was huge to them, not beating the Browns out or whatever. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and so my next team I kind of want to go over is the Baltimore Ravens, just north of the nation's capital, where my beloved Washington Commanders / Redskins are. So they're kind of our neighbor. And so one of the key marquee additions, and I really think it's the only marquee addition. I mean, it all boils down to they went out and got Derrick Henry from the Tennessee Titans, which is huge. But here's the problem, Large Sarge, when I look at this. Their offensive line got decimated. Completely and utterly decimated.
Yep.
And so I went and I had a chance to take a look at this a little bit. And because I was like, what is going on with the Ravens offensive linemen? So they lost both of their starting guards.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them. That doesn't sound very good for Derrick Henry. Doesn't sound very good for Lamar Jackson.
Right.
But their starting guards, Kevin Zeitler, left via free agency to the Lions, to your guys.
Yeah.
You got him.
Oh,
and John Simpson left, and he went to the Jets. And guess what? They did not re-sign a single veteran to replace either one of them. Like, are you insane? You're going to let Kevin Zeitler and John Simpson go, both your starting guards, and you're not going to re-sign a single veteran? And then, not only on top of that, but the general manager, his name's Eric DeCosta, said this. He said this. Eric DeCosta said this. He goes, I have a backup in Ben Cleveland who I think he's ready to go. I also have a second-year backup named Andrew Voorhees, and I think he might be able to compete with rookie Nick Samick, which you don't see
anything like Jason Voorhees. Maybe they're related. Who knows?
I don't know.
Friday the 13th on the Ravens.
But they're expecting Nick Samick from Michigan State, who was a 7th-round draft pick. I don't even have him on this list because he's not in the top 3. A 7th-round draft pick. Compete to be a starting guard. I think this spells disaster for these guys. Now, what they did go do is they went and signed another offensive tackle in Roger Rosengarten from Washington, but he's a tackle. He's not a guard. I just think overall this team is looking extremely troublesome, and I'm a Washington Commanders guy. I remember how bad our offensive line was in Washington last year, and if that happens in Baltimore, they're going to have a tough season.
And the Commanders play Baltimore this year in Baltimore, if I'm not mistaken, on the schedule. I got a sneak peek.
Oh, you got a sneak peek on the schedule? Because I haven't even seen it.
And I think we're at Baltimore this year.
Because I do know
you fans out there, like, subscribe, comment, and tell me if I'm wrong.
But I do know that the official schedule is coming out any day now.
Yep.
Any day it'll be out.
Coach Mad Mike, when I heard that they picked up Derrick Henry, I was excited for the Ravens because, as you know, I called the Ravens to win the Super Bowl last year, and they just
I did too.
Right in the end of the season, right? Didn't even come close. I thought with adding Derrick Henry, they'd be fine, but you're right. without an offensive line, how in the hell are they going to? One, Lamar's going to be running, which means he's going to be prone to injury. And two, Derrick Henry doesn't have a chance. Well, he always has a chance. He's a beast. He's huge and he's fast. But dear Lord, they didn't address the guard situation in the draft.
To me, that's an epic failure. I mean, we'll see what it looks like. The general manager seems to feel fine about his position. I don't see it on paper.
Of course, he's going to say that.
Yeah, of course, right?
Do you think there's an offensive guard out there in free agency left they could sign, to a 1-year deal? Is there somebody
There
out
are
there?
a couple. I mean, obviously, anytime that you get to this time of year, when it comes to any player that's out there on free agency, the number one question you have to ask is their health status. Because if you're not signed to a 90-man roster right now and you intend on playing football, there's a reason why you're still unsigned, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's you're asking for too much money, and you got to come down on your price, or you got a questionable history record,
Right.
medical history record, right?
That makes a lot of sense. Yep.
And so when you start talking about guards, usually that's not money related. Guards that are still out there usually are injury related.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, and the general manager didn't say anything about going out and getting other guards. He basically felt like he had a lot of confidence in these guys, which
Sounds like the
again,
Commander's talking about their offensive tackle situation.
yep.
Fine. All right. Cleveland Browns.
Tell me about the Browns.
You guys might not know this, but my teams are the Lions, the Washington Redskins, otherwise known as the Commanders, and the Browns. For whatever reason, number 4 is the Raiders, just teams that I follow. And I down in that area, the Steelers and other things which are in this division. So I follow this division. Marquee additions, Jameson Winston at quarterback from New Orleans. Now, why is that a marquee addition? Well, it's not. It's because we don't know if Deshaun Watson's going to be healthy. And when he looked pretty good last year. The Cleveland's got 11 wins last year, but they were on and off and on and off. So Jameson Winston is kind of a starting backup, so to speak. He might even start.
I think it's a horrible idea, Large Sarge. Like, I don't even understand why Jameis Winston is still in the NFL, quite honestly. Like, this guy is atrocious. Like, I think I probably know why, because he's a really good kid. He's a nice guy, and he's like very coachable in the film room and stuff like that. I hear all kinds of good comments about him, but when he gets on the field, he's atrocious.
Well, they're going to I can guarantee you the Browns are looking for Watson with all the problems and everything to come back and be healthy and start. But it's still up in the air. So they needed to put someone in there that they thought could run the offense. Besides, they hired another quarterback as well. I forget who it is, but he's definitely a second stringer. So it looks to be at this particular point in time that Winston's going to be the starter until they deem Watson healthy. So we'll see how that goes. But where I did think that they excelled was Jerry Jeudy at wide receiver, picking him up from Denver. I think it's a great pickup. That's a great target for either guy. They needed linebacker help, and they got Jordan Hicks from Minnesota. That's a big one. And, with Chubb being out, they're suffering with injuries, right? Chubb's their premier guy, so they needed to address it, and they did it with 2 guys. Deontay Foreman from Chicago, who I think might actually excel in this type of offense, and Nyheim Hines from Buffalo. Hines, I think, is at best a 3rd or 4th, but Deontay Foreman's going to be their primary until Chubb comes back. So both of those losses, have an effect on who they brought in free agency. So subtractions, who they lose? Flacco. There's a lot of buzz out there in Cleveland town about why the hell do they go? Why do they leave Flacco out? Is he better than Jameson Winston? Couldn't you re-sign him? I think so. That's what I'd have done. Not Winston. I'd have got Flacco. But he went to Indiana. They lost Walker, who was a good linebacker. He went to Miami. And Sione Taki went to the Patriots, which I think was a good move by the Patriots. I can't believe they lost him. So I think they have some holes. They didn't have a round 1 pick in the draft. In round 2, they got a tackle. And in round 3, they got an offensive guard. So good for them. But I think their holes are still linebacker and wide receiver. And, of course, Chubb and Watson, are they going to be healthy this year?
So I think that's really good analysis. I look at the running back situation a little bit different. The reason why I look at the running back situation a little bit different is you seem to be a little bit higher on Foreman. Out of the two, I'm probably a little bit higher on Hines.
Oh, okay.
The reason why is because Hines is a kick and a punt returner, and probably will make the team because he probably will do kick and punt returns for this team, and probably be that third string running back.
Right.
Now, if they go with 4 running backs, I would put probably Foreman. Maybe I think it's close, right, between Foreman and Hines. But I think Hines to me has the edge just because he does kick and punt returns.
Well, training
probably
camp
will be their guy. Say again.
Training camp's going to tell, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I definitely think that Hines has a good shot at being the starting kick and punt returner.
Interesting.
So he's got good speed. So
we'll watch it.
Yeah, so you were talking about Judy on Cleveland being there. Judy most likely will play the slot receiver. They have Amari Cooper and they have Elijah Moore. When I look at their wide receiver situation, I think they're okay.
They're great. I think they're great. It's who can get the ball to them.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, and I am not a fan of Jameis Winston, as you can tell.
Yeah.
And so if he's the guy and Deshaun Watson's not able to go, that's a little nerve-wracking for me for this team.
Right. But we'll see. We still have months to go before the season starts, and I haven't got any new status on how Watson's doing. I'd really like to see Watson come in without any extracurricular problems and be healthy and focused and see what he can really do for a full season if he can stay healthy. So,
yeah.
I think the biggest problem for the Browns right now is probably their D. The offense looks to have enough weapons to put up points and do pretty good this year. So the Steelers, man, during the draft, we met quite a few of them, didn't we, Coach Mad Mike?
We did.
And I love me some Steelers because I'm a Pennsylvania boy at heart. I was born in Waynesboro, which is not in Steeler town, but it's, it's right over the border next to Gettysburg. But I'm a Pennsylvania boy. I don't like the Eagles because they're against my Commanders. And I like the Steelers. So
we even met a dude out there that was dressed up like Troy Polamalu.
Oh my God.
Remember that dude?
Cool guy. Yeah. And he's got a charity. We got to link up with him, man.
We do.
We'll post. I think we posted a photo in our last video of him, but we need to get back to him. So marquee additions for the Steelers. I have to tell you, my mind is blown. I cannot believe the moves they made in the offseason with these free agency signings. Russell Wilson, for whatever reason, heck, I was reading an article today that Russell Wilson was so bad in Denver that they had to put his play calling down to 2 ticks. Like everyone else on the team knew the full play call, and they got him down to 2 words to call the play because he was so bad at picking up the system. Like they wanted him out. They were willing to pay millions to get him out of the locker room. That doesn't make any sense to me other than they just weren't on the same page. They didn't gel.
They were absolutely not on the same page.
And it was clear to watch, right? For whatever reason, in my mind, especially with their offensive coordinator loving the play option, which Wilson excels at, I think this is a fantastic move for the Steelers. Unbelievable. I think he's going to have a comeback here, and he's going to make lovers out of doubters. That's my opinion. We'll see what happens. Justin Fields from Chicago as a backup. Are you kidding me? Well, they flushed their quarterback core, so they needed somebody. And Fields gave the Lions fits and starts at the end of last year. So I think this is also a great backup quarterback.
Future franchise guy, probably.
Yeah. And very interestingly, the Steelers got rid of both their punter and their kicker this year. I don't understand that. They were adequate, if not better than average. But they brought in Cameron Johnson from Houston and Cordell Patterson, who's fast. So I kind of get that one more than I get Cameron Johnson. But probably the biggest defensive free agency signing was Patrick Queen from Baltimore. And again, Baltimore lost on that one. I totally, this was they're a division rival, and they picked up a premier linebacker. That just improves their defense. So I'm predicting the Steelers to go deep this year. If not take the division, we'll talk about it. Subtractions. Pickett went to Philadelphia. Great backup for them. Get out of here. Rudolph. Great backup quarterback. Went to Tennessee. No problem. And Deontay Johnson went to Carolina. I think they've addressed their needs, but they possibly might need more wide receiver help. We'll see. So what do they do in the draft? Well, They got an offensive tackle in Troy Faltanu, which you loved. I remember when we were sitting doing the draft up there in Detroit, you thought that was a great pick for them. Round 2, they got Zach Frazier as a center, which I think helps shore up the middle of their line. Round 3, also Roman Wilson, a wide receiver out of Michigan. I think this kid is pretty good. So we'll see where they fit him in, but yeah. And then also in round 3, I think they did good in the draft. Peyton Wilson is a linebacker out of NC State. The kid looked good. So I think they built some depth there. So the only possible gaps that I see is, does Wilson have enough in the wide receiver tank to be effective? Does he have good targets? Is he going to work with them in the offseason? How's that going to work out?
Yeah, so for the Steelers to try to get at that, I know they have George Pickens as a wide receiver and Van Jefferson. I actually think their rookie here, Roman Wilson, will play in the slot. Not overly impressed with the wide receiver core, but like as you mentioned, I am very high on Fatano, who will immediately move in the left tackle spot to be the starting left tackle, and Zach Frazier will start at center. So really in the top 3 picks that they had there, those are 3 starters that are going to be on this team, and it's either going to work or it's going to be a disaster. But if it works, oh my goodness, you got him young, you got him dynamic, and it will give Russell Wilson everything he needs to be successful.
Let's just say Russell Wilson is naked right now. He doesn't have anywhere to hide. He's going to come out and excel, or he's going to flop.
Mm-hmm.
And that means the Steelers will be picking in the first round of QB next year, right?
Yeah, well,
unless for whatever reason Wilson can
predict it that way, but like I do like is whenever Russell, like I actually think you're going to see Russell Wilson have a small resurgence of his career. For whatever reason, it was a disaster in Denver. They didn't click. But this is a former Super Bowl winning quarterback who is probably on his way to a Hall of Fame before the disaster he had in Denver, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had a lot of successful playoff seasons. I mean, he even took them to the Super Bowl again a second year, even though they lost to the Patriots, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
he's been to the dance.
This team had a lot going for him. He's a good quarterback.
He knows how to two-step in there.
Right. So,
Sean Payton is known as a quarterback's coach. How the hell they
and he's a Super Bowl winning coach too. So like it's really shocking. Like, were they on that polar opposite? Do they just not match personality wise?
From
whatever it is, I don't see it. I don't see them talking a lot about it, but it was a disaster. Whatever it was.
From what I read, Wilson just couldn't get the mnemonics of the playbook down. Couldn't get the play calls out. Didn't understand the playbook at all. So I mean, you would expect, well, that just tells you how complex offensive coordinating is, right? How much
quarterback positions
development matters, right? If you're from
old dog trying to learn
another system, just how difficult it is to transition over. You might be good or you might be a disaster.
Well, I would say that this is probably Russell Wilson's last chance. If Mike Tomlin can't get through to him, he's done.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And Justin Fields will take over. And I think this is a great opportunity for Justin Fields because he gets to fix his errors that he had and just try to improve his game. And you know that he's eventually going to be the future of the franchise if he's ready to go.
If he's ready to go, yep.
And he has a great opportunity to be the future because even if Russell Wilson's still got it together, right, you're only talking a couple of years.
Right, exactly.
And he's gone. And Justin Fields is the future if he's ready to go.
Justin should be excited. You know,
yeah.
I mean, he got a start in Chicago and he came on strong last year. Frankly, I don't know why they got rid of him. I think it was a bad move by Chicago, but whatever. Now that the Steelers have him, you know, they like to develop their QBs. So,
yeah, I will tell you that Pittsburgh, I have never seen a team rebuild a quarterback room like the Pittsburgh Steelers did this year.
Yeah. Crazy, right? Flush him out, bring him in. It's crazy.
All right, so what I want to show here is the standing predictions. What you see on the left-hand side was the actual results of 2023. Baltimore Ravens not only won the division in the AFC North, they won home field advantage for the entire playoffs. They were the Super Bowl favorites, and they blew it.
I called it.
Right? And the Cleveland
Chiefs at home. I mean, what the
hell? They had it up on the Chiefs, and like for some reason, it just didn't work. right? It just fell apart at the end, but they were the number 1 seed. And then Cleveland and Pittsburgh also made it into the playoffs. It was a tight division. The records were incredible there, but to get 3 teams in one division to go into the playoffs and get those wild card spots was pretty impressive.
Yep. Strong.
We talked about this, Large Sarge. I don't think that's happening this year.
You don't.
Yeah, I mean, because if Cleveland takes the dip, like you and I talked about, it only goes 8-9, and the Bengals don't really improve. They take a dip and go 8-9. That only leaves 2 teams making it. That's Pittsburgh and Baltimore. And when we talked about this, if we think Pittsburgh is only going to get 11 wins this year, they won't be the number 1 seed.
You know, after Coach Mad Mike, after listening to your review of the Ravens, I'm less sure now of my vote for 10-7 for them. Simply because without an offensive line, that, I think that's critical.
They could fall from grace,
Defense
man.
wins games, right? That's been the Ravens' mantra for God knows how long, right? Defense.
Can you imagine being the number 1 seed the previous year, and then you go out and you get Henry, and you think that you're going to be so much better, and you actually don't make the playoffs?
Yeah, you would think Derrick Henry would take them further, but
he needs somebody to block for him.
Right.
You can't do it by yourself.
So, maybe I need to change my opinion here. Maybe Cleveland jumps ahead of the Ravens. I'm solid on the Steelers. My expectation is with the moves they made, the Steelers should take the division this year. They should. There's no reason they shouldn't.
Here's the hard part about this division. All 4 of these teams are pretty good when they're on.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's hard for me when I look at this to say the Bengals will really drop a game this year compared to last year's with a healthy Joe Burrow, right? But I think Cleveland's, they look good in a lot of areas. They didn't do anything really to hurt themselves, and we're saying
11 games last year. They still pulled 11 games with all the injuries,
and we're really saying that they're going to do 3 less games this year when they're kind of the same. Maybe it's because we believe everybody else has improved. I don't know.
Maybe Cleveland's ahead of Baltimore. The more I'm thinking about it now, Coach Mad Mike, the more I think you're right about the offensive line on the Ravens. That's critical. That's critical, man. That's critical. I love my offensive line. You might
throw your season away by not addressing that. Like, you cannot let 2 starting guards leave and not replace them.
Oh, yeah, that's critical. Do you think there are any prospects still out there? Oh, well, we talked about that, but
no, I really don't.
Oh, man,
I think they screwed up.
Maybe we screwed this up on our projection. Maybe Baltimore needs to fall down on our projection, and Cleveland and the Bengals take a notch up.
Yeah, I mean, I could see both of them going 9-8, and maybe all 3 of those are 9-8.
Maybe,
and you could scramble which one you think's on top.
Yeah, there's I think the Steelers are the clear talent projected top. I just think they're more complete right now.
Right.
But you're right. I think Baltimore, Cleveland, the Bengals, any of those could all be. It's a mix.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think maybe we overrated Baltimore without our offensive line. Maybe we overrated them.
So all of you AFC North guys out there, I mean, you might be looking at this completely different. Maybe we're way off. I mean, put your comments down there.
Right.
I mean, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. You hardcore AFC North guys, are we out of our mind? I mean, granted, I'm a Washington Commanders fan. Large Sarge is a Lions fan. So I want to hear your analysis. Put it in the comments. Tell us where we're off. What are we missing? Right? What are we missing? But anyway, that is our analysis for this show, Large Sarge. We are out of here, baby.